And I say the most beautiful word in the entire dictionary of words is the word tariff. I love tariff.
Tariffs. It's the word that Donald Trump calls the most beautiful in the English dictionary. And for better or worse, he's made sure Americans and world leaders know exactly what it means. Since stepping into the White House, President Trump has unleashed a sweeping series of tariffs, targeting steel, aluminium, cars, and nearly every major import into the United States of America. Doesn't matter if they're an enemy or America's allies. Trump has been shooting tariffs at countries like never before. He calls April 2nd Liberation Day. This is when his new round of tariffs came into effect. Will these trade barriers boost American industry or backfire on consumers and businesses? Hello and welcome to Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. On Statecraft, we'll talk about what tariffs really mean for your wallet, the economy, and the future of US trade. In just 10 weeks, Donald Trump has aggressively asserted his influence over America's business rivals. While some have scrambled to appease him, others have pushed back, and many remain uncertain about how to react.
Pour le coup, je pense que ce n'est pas une bonne idée. Je l'ai dit au président Trump, et je lui ai redit hier, et je continue à lui dire, au moment où on le voit bien, les marchés aux États-Unis ne considèrent a priori pas que ce soit une très bonne politique économique.
Tariffs will just fuel inflation, exactly the opposite of what we wanted to achieve.
Quello statunitense chiaramente per noi è un mercato fondamentale. È evidente che l'introduzione di nuovi dazi avrebbe risvolti pesanti per i produttori italiani. Penso personalmente che sarebbe anche un'ingiustizia per molti americani perché
let me be clear with the House, a trade war is in nobody's interests. And the country deserves, and we will take, a calm, pragmatic approach.
Trump promised to announce a raft of new tariffs on the 2nd of April. He believes these tariffs will hit all countries who have been taking advantage of America in trade. Moreover, Trump is expected to enact some previously delayed tariffs on Mexico and Canada as well. Economists have warned these tariffs and those introduced in response by other countries could put prices up for American consumers. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritties, let me first briefly explain to you what exactly are tariffs. A tariff is essentially a tax on imported goods. When the United States of America or the US government imposes a tariff, foreign businesses must pay extra to sell their products in America. That extra cost is often passed down to consumers. This means higher prices on everything from cars to electronics to everyday household goods. Take Trump's new 25% tariff on foreign-made cars, which goes into effect on the 3rd of April. If you're shopping for a new car, that means a foreign-made vehicle could cost thousands of dollars more. Even American-made cars might not be safe. That's because many US car companies rely on foreign parts or parts that are made abroad, which will also get hit with tariffs. Experts say this move could raise the prices of all cars by $4,000 to $15,000 US. And that's just one example. So if tariffs hurt consumers, why would a government impose them? There are a number of reasons for that. One is revenue generation. In the early days of the US, tariffs were a major source of government revenue. Trump has even floated the idea of replacing income taxes with tariffs. His administration claims auto tariffs alone could bring in $100 billion this year. Then comes protecting domestic industry. Many nations, including the US, have used tariffs to help local businesses grow. For example, South Korea placed high tariffs on foreign cars in the 1960s to help companies like Hyundai and Kia develop. Today, they're global giants. Another important reason is national security. Some argue that America shouldn't rely on foreign nations for critical industries like steel, semiconductors, and electric vehicles. Trump's tariffs, in theory, would force US companies to produce these goods domestically. But there's a problem here as well. Not everyone's convinced with this theory. Critics argue that Trump's tariffs are too broad, too sudden, and too chaotic. This will more likely hurt the US economy than help it. So, what does this mean for everyday Americans? Which items will hit your wallet the hardest? One of the hardest hit industries will be the automobile industry.
China's an abuser, but the European Union is very, very bad to us. They treat us very, very badly. They don't take our cars. They don't take our cars at all. They don't take our farm products, essentially. They don't take very much. We have a $350 billion deficit with the European Union. They treat us very, very badly. So they're going to be in for tariffs.
As I said earlier, the US imports around 8 million cars a year, with major brands relying on Canada and Mexico for components. Cars assembled in America still require parts that crisscross borders multiple times before completion. The new tariffs on automotive imports and parts will make these components significantly pricier. That means manufacturers will either have to absorb the added costs, which could cut into their profits, or pass them down to consumers. Some estimates suggest price increases ranging from $4,000 to $10,000 per vehicle, depending on how heavily the model relies on imported parts. Even if you're not buying a new car, tariffs on auto parts could increase the cost of repairs and maintenance. Next up, a night out with friends or family will force you to shell out a fortune. That's because beer, whiskey, and tequila will get expensive. Mexican beer brands like Modelo and Corona are widely enjoyed across the country in the United States of America, but their importers now face increased taxes. Tequila, which is legally required to be produced in Mexico, will see a price hike as tariffs make importing it costlier. Canadian whiskey and Scottish bourbon, key players in the American liquor market, are also set to get more expensive. There's even talk of a 200% tariff on alcohol from the European Union. This could drive up the price of French champagne, Spanish wine, and German beer. If enacted, these tariffs would make imported alcoholic beverages a luxury purchase. Next on the list are homes. If you're thinking about buying a new home or renovating an existing one, prepare for higher construction costs. A significant portion of softwood lumber used in US homes comes from Canada, and the new tariffs will push prices up. Lumber is one of the most essential materials in home building, used for everything from framing to flooring. With construction costs rising, new home prices are expected to increase, and this will not just affect homes. Trump's dreaded tariffs on Canadian softwood lumber also threatens to disrupt the supply chain for toilet paper. This could lead to a pandemic-style shortages that we saw during COVID-19 pandemic. So America, you need to be ready for a bathroom crisis as well. Now the misery will follow you from your bathroom to your breakfast table as well. For Americans, maple syrup is a staple diet to start the day. But with Canada producing 75% of the world's supply, tariffs on Canadian imports will make this sweet commodity pricier. Not only will bottled maple syrup cost more, but any food product that includes it, from granola bars to flavored syrups in coffee shops, could also see higher prices. Since there are no large-scale domestic alternatives to Canadian maple syrup, consumers will have little choice but to pay more. And then there's gas prices. While oil itself faces a lower tariff, which is 10%, it could still affect fuel prices in the US. Canada supplies over 60% of America's imported crude oil, which is refined into gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. US refineries are designed to process heavier crude oil, much of which comes from Canada. If Canada retaliates by reducing exports, American refineries may have to source more expensive crude from other regions. This could drive up gas prices at the pump. Since fuel costs affect transportation and delivery services, higher gas prices could lead to increased costs across multiple industries. This includes food, clothing, and shipping. Now that's a lot for Americans to process. But many of you might now be wondering, how long will these tariffs last? You see, some tariffs, like the ones on Canada and Mexico, are supposedly a bargaining chip in Trump's push for new trade agreements. Others, like those on Chinese electric vehicles, could be permanent measures or a long-term measure to help US manufacturers compete in the EV market. But if consumer prices rise too much, or if US businesses start laying off workers, Trump could face political pressure to roll back. Trump argues the tariffs will bring manufacturing back to the US and protect American industries. But in the short term, it's the consumers who will feel the impact. So is Trump's trade war making America great again, or just making things more expensive? Thank you for watching Statecraft.